With thousands of games available to buy, one might ask, why should I bother playing this one? My name is Kami, and I'm a video game completionist who likes to recommend games after 100% completion. So why should you consider playing Ico? Ico is one of the rare games that I still think about, even after completing it. Despite the entire game being an escort mission, a task where you're responsible for the safety of a non-player character, it was so engaging to me that I completed it 3 times. I'm going to offer my opinions, showcasing the game in 4 different sections: the game design, the atmosphere, the user experience, and 100% completion. So allow me to showcase what Ico has to offer. I don't like to equate a game's length to quality. I appreciate when a game is focused and concise. Similar to a Resident Evil game, Ico is a linear experience that's easy to pick up and encourages replayability. The entire game you're tasked with escorting the mythical being Yorda out of her decrepit castle. You need to drag her along like a ball and chain as her guide whilst fending off against Benadryl demons. Ico's rudimentary game design reflects the 6th console generation era, and it makes for quite a simplified experience. You go from A to B, jump here and there, and solve a puzzle. On the face of it, that's not awfully enticing, but having to micromanage Yorda is the real selling point. Yorda is necessary to progress to new areas, to save, and even to solve puzzles. These points of interaction all bear a visual aesthetic that allows for even someone who's never played a game before to understand that Yorda is required to interact with them. Each area you travel to is focused and feels meaningfully designed to challenge the player. You have memorable areas such as the windmill, the graveyard, the gates, and the waterfall. Having a focused linear path allows you to experience short bursts of environmental platforming and interaction that keeps you busy, while forcing you to watch over Yorda as she's at risk of kidnapping. This in turn makes it feel like an actual escape from the castle, which makes it very engaging. As a player, I was genuinely stressed trying to save Yorda. The Benadryl monsters genuinely ruin your attempts to win without it feeling unfair. Correctly managing your timing and Yorda's placement will prove that the more intense sections are very easy to breeze through. When a game feels fair yet challenging enough, you know they nailed the core design. I actually think my favorite moment of this game was saving. Not that the game was overly intense, but I love the fact that both of them had to sit down in a chair to trigger the option to save. Ico's castle design uses the Metroidvania approach, looping the player to previously visited areas with new avenues to explore. Areas are focused with interactable objects that are consistent in execution without being handholding. Having the player go across to each gate while circulating around the main goal gives an effective sense of progression that you're close to escaping. Whilst I appreciate the game's design with the puzzles and incorporation of Yorda, the best part about Ico is the atmosphere. Like Silent Hill 2, the main draw of this game is the setting, the music, and how the world interacts with the protagonist. This game is quite depressing, despite having a minimalist story. The game has less than 30 minutes worth of cutscenes, yet it conveys the important story moments and drip feeds the player information through the environment. Ico is a child being sacrificed for this malevolent queen, and we don't realize until the climax of the game that more than 49 other kids were sacrificed too. Yorda most likely would have been trapped for eternity, considering she was hung in a cage alone. With the little cutscenes we have and almost no dialogue, it's impressive how the game immerses you. I cared about the story. I was engaged, despite the fact that Ico and Yorda don't even speak to each other. Why is that? Because there's another character at play, the castle. The castle is designed to know when to apply pressure and intensity and when to back off and let you explore. The game has this desolate environment that is presented as this husk of a castle. It's not necessarily horrific, but rather abandoned. You have these moments of peace where nothing attacks you, and it brings about this unusual calmness because you know how isolated you are. As soon as you leave the castle rooms, you get these small glimpses of nature. These small areas have no music, it's just you alone, allowing you to soak it all in. Despite being completely linear, you get this allure to explore every room. I believe that's because the castle is what's most appealing, and having to face the unknown challenges is what draws you in. The game has this upbeat and ethereal soundtrack that has always stuck in my head. The soundtrack is what sells every interaction, every story moment, and even the save theme, but never the actual exploration of the castle. Michiru Oshima knew when to soothe you, when to stress you, and when to sell the scene. The biggest issue with Ico is actually playing Ico. Sony has refused to sell it on any platform past the PlayStation 3 launch. Originally released on the PlayStation 2, it did get a 720p remaster, but that's it. You have 3 options to play this. You can buy a PlayStation 3 and get the HD collection like I did, spend way too much money on a PlayStation 2 copy, and play it on the original hardware, or you can emulate it. Either way, I personally find it ridiculous as to why it's so cumbersome to play this. Unlike companions from other titles such as The Legend of Zelda's Navi or Resident Evil 4's Ashley, Yorda barely speaks and that's appreciated. Some people may not agree, but I never found her too annoying. Yes, she does have a PlayStation 2 AI, and she can be annoying when she won't grab the ledge in front of her, but I never felt disdain to rescue her. The most annoying thing with this game are the Benadryl monsters. The flying ones especially can ruin your plans. I found myself getting stunlocked at times when attempting to get back to Yorda, which resulted in frustrating speedrun times. I personally don't mind fixed camera angles, but as a platformer, it can be frustrating as the perspective can warp your judgment before jumping. Whilst Ico is a 3D game for the PlayStation 2, he moves in the fashion of a PlayStation 1 character, and his movements feel jerky at times. Ico's movement is programmed to shift to the direction before moving. This can sound silly, but those quicker turns that are present in other PlayStation 2 games, such as Metal Gear Solid 2, Spyro, or Spider-Man 2, don't have this jerkier movement. This also affects object interaction. You need to be facing an object directly, otherwise the action won't trigger. There's little leniency, which can be annoying when you fail to pull levers or grab a ledge because Ico isn't faced directly into them. This game offered quite a pleasant trophy completion experience. A majority of trophies were story completion related, which I can't really speak to. Completing the game without dying becomes easy if you decide to abuse save points and reload before you die. All save points are highly accessible, so make sure to enjoy each restful moment. If you strike this tree near the waterfall area, it'll drop a fruit of some kind. If you take it here and throw it into this object, you can obtain this hidden weapon. Doing it the first time will net you the spiked club, and on a New Game Plus playthrough, you'll obtain a laser sword. On that second playthrough, make sure to bring Yorda a watermelon to get a new cutscene. The biggest challenge of the game is the speedrun. I absolutely hate speedrunning. They're the bane of my existence. Speedrunning is stressful for me, and having to play optimized strategies didn't make it any better. I want to give credit to Sancho Panda, who made an excellent guide for Ico speedrunning. It took me 2 attempts, but I finally got the last achievement, followed by the Platinum Trophy. I really enjoyed completing every trophy on Ico. It was challenging enough and it respected my time. Ico is a game I can't recommend enough. It's charming, isolating, and it will always stick in the back of my mind. I have a lot of passion for Ico. It doesn't need a remake. Despite my nitpicks, I believe it's perfect as it is.